Welcome to your 2049 Perfect League World Series. Let's go. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, DRC, and we are going to do this one live. Last week, I was able to come to the World Series broadcast with everything prepared. I even had some notes for the teams, and we rattled them off before the game started to try to really set the stage. And frankly, that's not happening today. Had some travel delays on the way back from a family camping trip, and I sat down in this chair about 3 minutes ago. So we are going to do it live, and we're going to do it on the fly, and we're going to try to diagram what's going on within this series as best we can with no prep work. Who knows? Maybe it'll even be better. So let's quickly take a look. We've got the first sim coming in 30 seconds, but before that is prepared, let's take a quick look at each team. So we've got the Greenwich Time Lords, a BFF team. Let's note that BFF has been doing an incredible, and thanks for the new sub there, Sai. BFF has been doing an incredible job within the Perfect League. You had QUC win 5-6 weeks ago. You had Highland Deer last week. And now you've got the Greenwich Time Lords within it. So give credit where credit is due. BFF are some of the best players in the game. And the Greenwich Time Lords are no exception to that rule. They led the Perfect League in wins last year. Let's see how close they were to leading the Perfect League in wins this year. Let's see, 98. There's a 99er in there. So the Newton Sloths are the only team that won more regular season games than the Greenwich Time Lords. So definitely a very strong competitor. And I've got some data that will add more context to that. We'll see if we get a chance to get to it in between the broadcast of the individual games. And then on the other side of town, we've got the Louisville Colonels. I do not have as much experience with the Louisville Colonels. The Time Lords and I, BFF and DLL have had plenty of times where we sync up in the same league. So I've gotten a chance to see firsthand the Time Lords and what they do. I have not had the same for the Louisville Colonels. But as we see here, 83 and 79, better at home than they are on the road. No surprise there. Run differential is actually negative 20, but they're in the World Series. They are in the World Series, and that's no accident. So let us get this sim going. Scores are hidden. Let's get the show underway. Highlight real time. All right. So let's take some inventory here. Oh, thanks for the new sub there, D Van Hoot. So normally these sims start off with the first batter of the game. So this is slightly odd that we're already starting off in a rally situation. We're in the bottom of the first. The Greenwich Time Lords are up. The Louisville Colonels have started Walter Johnson in this game. And we've got 2 out for Roger Connor. Now, one thing we'll notice on the Greenwich Time Lords lineup card is that Gwynn and Maurer are both hot. So we'll see if that plays out here. We've already got Gwynn on third base, having led off the game with some sort of base hit or a walk. So let's see what Walter Johnson does here for the Colonels to get out of this jam in the first. It's 3-0 count. 3-0 to Connor. That's ball 4. Hey, thanks for the sub there, West. Glad you're hanging out. And looks like Death Deal is heading back to Perfect after a long run in Diamond. Welcome back. What's your team name, Death Deal? Oh, and Chuck, thanks for gifting out those subs. Really appreciate it, man. The Fubon Guardians, awesome. All right, back to the game here. Now they're loaded with Connor walking. We've got Hornsby at the plate. Big opportunity for the Time Lords to really grab hold of this series right away. Make some noise in the first inning of the first game. 1-1 pitch to Hornsby, the pitch. Swing to left. Could drop and will. It's going to score 1. They'll remain loaded. Colonel's trying to get out of the first here. We've now got Ken Griffey facing Walter Johnson. Not a bad opportunity to throw up our matchup analyzer. So let's get Walter Johnson. So the matchup analyzer's on the bottom right side of your screen here. There's the right Walter Johnson, and let's grab the right Griffey, and let's see what we can expect in this at-bat here. All right, so we're going to go Walter versus left, and we're going to go Griffey versus right. So we see Griffey versus right is a 721 hitter. Let me know if the text on this is too small for you guys to see it. I could increase the font size if that would help. So Griffey is 721 OPS hitter against right-handed pitching. Walter Johnson versus left is definitely his weaker side. Could be a tad bigger. Yeah, let's blow this up. Let's see if we can blow this up without it becoming a problem. Let me scooch this over for a second. Oh yeah, this is going to be a lot better, I think. All right, minimize that down, scooch it back over. All right, that should be better. Bring that right into your living room. Yeah, so Walter Johnson definitely weaker versus the left side here. You see the whip go up. You see the walks increase significantly. Let's see how this one plays out. Wes, thanks for gifting that sub over to defense. Really appreciate it. All right, bottom of the first, 1-0 count. The pitch. Driven, deep right. Will it get over the right fielder's head? It will not. So Griffey got into one, but Gwynn was there for the grab, and disaster averted for the Louisville Colonels. We go to the second with them trailing only 1 in what could have been a much more productive inning for the Time Lords. Top 2 now. First chance for the Colonels to make a highlight reel here, and they're starting off with a good rally. So we'll notice that pitching for the Time Lords is Noodles Hahn. And not just any old Noodles Hahn, but the special edition Noodles Hahn. One of the rarer cards in the game, one of the more valuable cards in the game. And he's going to have to face Jackie Robinson here with 2 on and nobody out. The pitch. Hit up the middle. That's going to get through. They're going to send the runner. Here's the throw to the plate. Not in time. And the Colonels tie it up 1-1. Still rallying here in the second. We've got an out now. Looks to be a productive out as we've got runners on second and third for Ivan Rodriguez. Rodriguez better versus left-hand pitching, but still not a great hitter. Hahn to Ivan up the middle. Fielded. Play to first. They get the out, but the run does come home. So the Colonels take the lead 2-1. We go bottom 2. Getting a lot of highlight reels early here. Bottom 2, we've got Maurer leading off the inning. Remember, this is Fire Maurer. This isn't any old Maurer. 1-1 count. Swing. Deep drive. Left field. Oppo taco time. It's a bomb. Make it 2-2. Joe Maurer. Fire Joe Maurer ties the game. Fast forward to the fourth. Somehow we got to skip the third inning entirely. But we've got Noodles Hahn and a little bit of a jam here in the fourth with a leadoff runner on and a 2-0 count to Rogers Hornsby. Hornsby, as we know from looking at these stats in the past, Hornsby loves to feast on left-hand pitching. He loves it. Look at all that green. Look at all that green. 914 OPS. He dreams of facing lefties, and he's got one here. 2-0 count. The pitch. Up the middle. That's going to get down. Runner will head to third. Throw's not going to be in time. Runners at the corners and nobody out. And that's going to bring up Jackie. Full count on him here. The pitch. Fly to right. Will it be deep enough to score the run? It's a diving catch. Runner won't even attempt. Great play by Tony Gwynn. One away now for George Brett. George Brett, one of the best hitters in the game, but not a great hitter versus left. We're going to take a quick peek at that. As you see here, versus left, he's got a significantly negative bat value. His OPS is under 700, and the OBP really stands out as the most challenged area as he struggles to even crack 300. Let's see if he can come through here in the clutch against a tough left-hander. Full count on him. The pitch. Fly to left. Another question over the depth. Can it score the run? They're going to try. The throw to home. Not in time. Make it 3-2 Louisville. George Brett gets the job done in a tough at-bat. We go bottom 6. The Time Lords down 1, and they get the highlight reel here. It's Walter Johnson versus George Brett. Well, we've got George Brett loaded. Let's just go ahead and look at the dichotomy between his VL and his V right. Boom. You go V right, and all of a sudden, it's a much rosier picture. Much rosier picture here. Positive bat value, 831 OPS, and an outlier positive slug. Full count now. The pitch. That ball belted deep right center. Off the wall. Brett's got 2 easy. Will he try for 3? No. He'll slide in there with a leadoff double. Next batter is Roger Connor. He's got a 3-1 count feeding him here with the leadoff guy on second. The pitch. Ball 4. Walter Johnson skating on some thin ice right now. Pitch count is growing. We've seen a lot of 3-ball counts. And now he's got Hornsby with a whole host of lefties to come after this. Johnson to Hornsby with a full count. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 1 away. Huge strikeout there. He'll lead into Griffey. We've seen his VR stats. Better side for Griffey for sure. 0-2 count. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Walter Johnson is knifing through via the strikeout. 2 away now. But what separates him from a clean inning here, from getting out of this jam, is an at-bat with Fire Mauer. He's got a 3-0 count here. Johnson delivers, and he walks him. Probably a smart move. Do you want to face Fire Mauer or a regular grade Pop Lloyd? We'll go ahead and pop Lloyd up so we can see his statistics. Pop Lloyd versus Wright. Not the strongest average in the world, slightly above average. But below average OBP and a very low slug and a negative bat value. Full count, 2 outs. Runners will be in motion. Big opportunity here for the Time Lords to re-grab control of this game. The wind in the pitch. He walked him. Walks Pop Lloyd, not known for walking a ton, but walks him to walk in a run. And now we've got a brand new ball game here in the 6th. And it brings up Fire Tony Gwynn. Boy, you really hate walking a light bat in Pop Lloyd to get to Fire Gwynn, but that's what we've had happen here. And now Walter Johnson, with a pitch count, got to be approaching the 100 neighborhood, has a tough cookie here. 1-2 count. The pitch. Deep drive, right field. Could it be? It is! Granny homer for Tony Gwynn. Fire Gwynn goes yard. Make it 7-3, and this game just turned on a dime. Woo! What a bomb by Fire Gwynn. And now Louisville goes from leading by a run to being really stretched out here, needing to close 4 within the final 3 innings. Two-0 count to their Gwynn, who's got an Aussie sitting on third. Tough at bat here with Randy Johnson on the hill. We've seen Randy be very tough against lefties the last couple of seasons. Let's pull it up. Yep, Randy Johnson VL. We've seen the FIP come all the way down to 3. Strong whip numbers, not giving up any homers. Let's see what Gwynn can do here. 2-0 count. The pitch. Fly to left. Deep. And there's an answer for the Louisville Colonels. The 4-run lead's cut in half now, and this game's far from over. Make it 7-5. What a bomb. Now, bottom 8 now. The Time Lords looking for a little bit more insurance, and they've got Fire Mauer up there. 2-2 count, bottom 8. Crush, that ball belted, deep center. No way. The Fire players have showed up tonight. Both Gwynn and Mauer have gone yard and in big moments. 442 happy feet for the Time Lords. We go top 9 now. Time Lords trying to shut it down. They've got Walter Johnson on the hill facing Ozzie Smith. This feels like curtains here. 1-2 count. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. That's going to end game 1. Time Lords come away the big winner here. And if you're looking for the moment that made this game, it was walking Pop Lloyd with the bases loaded and a lead, which walked in a run, brought up Fire Gwynn, and he hit a granny and sealed the deal right then and there. So we've got 20 seconds until the next sim. The one thing I didn't do before that game was check ballpark. So the ballpark that we're playing in is actually pretty unique here. It's a variant of your lefty cheese. We've got full average for lefties, minimum average for righties. We're neutral on the extra bases. And then from a home run perspective, both are nerfed. Both are less than neutral. But righties are full nerfed down to 0.9, and lefties are just halfway from neutral there at 0.95. So we saw a lot of homers in game 1 for a park that tries to min those out. We'll see if we see similar in game 2. Let's see who's going to retain their fire emojis. We've got Mauer and Gwynn with their fire here. Winning game 1 at home, always something that you like to see as the team with home field advantage to retain it. There's nothing more annoying than going ahead and losing home field advantage in game 1. Who else do we have in the chat? Do we have any other Diamond League champions coming up to Perfect League? I know that the Perfect League is losing some really good teams. We've got the Manchego Cheese, one of the best managers I know. Just missed out on the playoffs, and they'll be heading down. Cartier's been around for a very long time. Fair Play Cheaters were in the World Series a couple weeks back. West is actively advertising his new league concept, the Slots League concept. You should definitely check that out. Defense missed the finals by a game. Hate to hear it. All right, we've got a new sim in. The Louisville Colonels versus Time Lords game 2. Let's go. So the Time Lords are starting Hubble. Again, had I done more pre-work for the show, I'd know how unique or normal that is for the Time Lords. But they're starting Hubble, and we've got a Louisville Colonel lineup that does feature 3 lefties. So oftentimes you see people try to get more lefties in there versus Hubble. He's got very minimal splits. Let's go ahead and pull up Hubble right now. Show you guys. So here's Hubble. We'll look at him neutral. So overall, he's a 4.48 FIP guy, 1.4 whip. K per 9 slightly below league average. Walks per 9 slightly above league average. Homer slightly above as well. Let's first go to the strong side. So versus left, the FIP drops to 3.64, which in the pantheon of lefty pitchers that are played in Perfect League is actually bad. You know, most lefty pitchers that get play really dominate left-hand batters. What makes Hubble unique, though, is that he's not a train wreck versus right. So the FIP does jump to 4.8 here, but for many of the other lefties that are currently used, you know, the FIP jumps even higher than that. All right, let's get this game underway. Hubble to Ricky to lead off the game. Wind blowing in from right at 12 miles an hour. Hubble 3-0 in the playoffs. Fly ball to right. Nothing to worry about. Can of corn. Grabbed, and that'll be one away. Now we've got Hubble versus Gwynn here. Second batter of the game. 0-2 count on him, the pitch. Crushed down the right field line. That's going to be extra bases. Slowly meandering to the carom balls, the right fielder. And Tony's going to try for 3, and he's going to make it. The throw goes home. That's a 1-out triple for Tony Gwynn of the Colonels. That's going to bring up Willie Mays here. Chance to get the early lead. If you're going to make an out here, you hope it's a productive one to bring that run home. 2-2 count. The pitch. Grounder to short. Played deep in the hole. Makes the long throw. Gets Mays at first, but a run does score. So early 1-0 lead for the Colonels. 2 away now. We've got Cobb on second. And Hornsby at the plate. The pitch. Crushed to right. That's going to get down. Fielded by Gwynn. 3-leg throw. Not even going to be attempted home. And make it 2-0. Louisville trying to build a lead they can protect this game. Fast forward to the bottom of the 4th. It's our first Time Lords highlight. And wouldn't you know it, we're starting with Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn versus Warren Spahn. Spahn very good against left-hand batters. We'll go ahead and pop that up. Spahn versus left. Very strong 3.1 FIP. Gives up very few homers. A minuscule 1.23 walks per 9. And he faces a Tony Gwynn. The pitch to Tony. Little dinker. Going to be a tough play for the third baseman. He won't even attempt it. That's an infield single for Tony Gwynn, extending the inning. And it brings up Cal Ripken. The pitch to Cal. Grounder to short. Fielded. Makes the short throw to second base, and that will end the inning in the threat. It's 2-0 as we head on to the 5th. Fast forward, bottom 6, time for more Time Lords. And it's Spahn versus Hornsby. We've already looked at Hornsby tonight. We know he feasts on left-hand pitching. The 0-1 count. Crush! Deep drive, left field! Ballpark's not gonna hold it. Make it 2-1, lead cut in half. The Time Lords get a much-needed run across the board. Congrats to Chuck8403. Hoagie Mouths are in. They're the champ of the DLL Diamond League. In my opinion, the hardest Diamond League around, and Chuck will be their representative up to the Perfect League next week. Congrats to the Delco Hoagie Mouths. Way to go, Chuck. Bottom 6 now. Time Lords back at the plate, and Tony Gwynn up again. I swear, every at-bat he comes up, he's doing some damage, and he's got another chance here. He's got Ricky on first as a pinch runner. And his team trails by 1. Spahn to Gwynn. Here we go. Blooper to left. That's going to get down. It's going to keep the inning going. Oh, aggressive base running. He's going to make it all the way to third. Ricky Henderson really showing off the wheels. Oh, I got my Chucks confused. Well, I thank you anyway, Chuck. Chuck8403. So many Chucks around here. So we're still bottom 6 now, and Ripken, another chance to do some damage. Now, Ripken ended the last Greenwich Time Lord rally. Can he come through this time? Oh, 1 count. Looper to the third baseman, not gonna get through. That's gonna end the inning. Cal Ripken proving to be quite the rally killer this game for the Greenwich Time Lords. We go to bottom 7 now. We've got Ivan Rodriguez at the plate, still facing Warren Spahn. 3-1 count, 1 away. The pitch. He walks him. Ivan doesn't walk a ton, doesn't get on base a ton, but he's trying to start a rally here. Next up is Roger Connor. 2-2 count. Crushes this one, deep center. Diving grab by the center fielder. Taking away extra bases. Great catch by Willie Mays. Next batter, Jackie Robinson versus Spahn. 0-1. Blooper, right center, should be playable. Mays shifts over and makes the grab. And the Time Lords are erased in the 7th. Spawn to Cobb now. Time Lords, another highlight here in the bottom of the 8th. 0-2 count on Cobb to lead off the pitch. Swing! And a miss. Strike 3. Around the horn they go. Big batter to lead off the inning. You don't want Cobb getting on and being a menace on the base paths. Next up is Rogers Hornsby. We've got a pitching change. We've got Guidry into the game. This is a pretty notable advantage here to the Time Lords, as Ron Guidry is not who you want in there versus right-hand batters. So as we look at his VR splits there, they're pretty ugly. He's giving up a lot of long balls. He's giving up a lot of walks. And the K per 9, not nearly what it is versus left. The whip and the FIP are both problematic as well. And just for comparison's sake, we see Hornsby is an absolute lightning rod of production versus left. So this is a huge advantage for the Time Lords here. Let's see if they can take advantage of this. 2-0 count on Hornsby. Guidry winds and delivers. Looper into right center. That's going to get down. It's going to be a 1-out single for Hornsby. I find it interesting because I believe that was Guidry's first batter. So why would Guidry have been brought in for a right-hand batter? Regardless, we've got Ricky Henderson up next. Ricky came in to pinch run earlier, is now defensively aligned in center field, and carries a fire emoji himself. So 0-2 count here. Guidry to Ricky. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 2 away. Bring up Gwynn. Fire Tony. Fire Tony's been up all game long. I don't think he's made an out yet. Full count now in a very clutch moment. Let's see how he's done against left-hand pitching in recent years. Tony Gwynn, there he is. Versus left, much softer than his versus right. However, the average is still very high. And as we tick Guidry's numbers over to his VL profile, you see it get a lot prettier. A 2.82 FIP, very strong. One of the very best pitchers versus left-hand batting in the game. Full count here. Guidry to Gwynn. That's a ball 4. He walked him. Tony Gwynn checks his swing and ends up on first base. And up comes Cal Ripken. He's killed 2 rallies today and is tasked with not killing his third here. 2 out in the bottom of the 8th, trailing by a run. Leverage index doesn't get much higher than this. Let's check out how he's done versus left-hand pitching. Cal Ripken, VL, 750 OPS, not bad. Slightly above average bat versus left-hand pitching. 0-1 count here from Guidry. And we'll tick his split back over to right. Guidry winds. And delivers. Looper into left center. Not going to get over the shortstop's head. The third rally of the game is ended by Cal Ripken. So we go top 9. Louisville Colonels in search of an insurance run. They've got Mays at the plate versus Walter Johnson. Full count. Crushes this one deep left. Chance it could go, and it does. A timely insurance run for the Louisville Colonels as they extend the lead to 3-1. Huge game changer, protecting a 2-run lead versus a 1-run lead for when we get to the bottom of the 9th, which we are at now. We will start the bottom of the 9th with Trevor Hoffman coming in to pitch for the Colonels, and he'll be facing Tris Speaker to lead it off. Hoffman to Speaker. Grounder to first. It's bobbled, and that's going to cost him the play. That's an error for George Brett. And the trouble has only gotten worse as Ken Griffey is now on as well. So we've got some very high leverage at bats coming up here as they're going to have to try to close out this inning. You hate to see an error leading it off, but we're going to go Roger Connor versus right. Very excellent on-base percentage. We'll throw Trevor Hoffman there versus left. Advantage to the hitter here. Slight advantage. Connor's just trying to stay out of a double play here. 0-1 count. The pitch. Little dead-end ground ball. They get one at second. That'll be it. So they keep the tying run on a scoring position. They get one. So that brings up Jackie. Jackie VR. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the splits. So 730 hitter, basically a neutral bat versus right-hand pitching. And we know that Trevor Hoffman is very good versus right. Full count here. Hoffman to Jackie. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Big strikeout there. Keeps the runner frozen at third. Game on the line now for Ty Cobb. Needs a single to keep, or needs any kind of on-base activity here to keep the game going. Could win it with a long one. We know that Ty Cobb's one of the best hitters in this game, and I've got the splits to prove it. Ty Cobb versus right. Excellent across the board. Incredible on-base percentage. Incredible slug. Let's see if he's got something up his sleeve here with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Team trailing by 2 with 2 runners on. 1-0 count. Hoffman to Cobb. Crushes it down into the right field corner. That's going to score 1. Gwynn plays the carom perfectly. Gets the ball in, which will keep the runner from scoring. Wait a minute. He's going to try to score anyway. The band is on the field. Oh my God. What just happened? Holy cow. So they try to score the run, and before the out could even be applied at the plate, the Louisville Colonels stormed the field as they have won the game. It's a 3-2 victory. I can't say that I've ever seen, I've never seen that outcome before. That's incredible. But the Louisville Colonels do leave game 2 victorious. With an incredible game that ends at the plate. So as we go and look at the game log there, the very final game or final play is the Ty Cobb double. Speaker scored. He was on third. Connor ran through a stop sign at third base and was thrown out at home to end the game. 9-4-2. High drama. High drama in Greenwich. That was wild. That was a first for me. All right, so this was a dead sim. We won't have a game here because that is the travel day to get to Louisville. So Louisville ties the series 1-1. Let's take a look at their ballpark to know what we can expect. So the Louisville Colonels play in an entirely neutral park. As we look at their season, it was a season of some pretty meh ball through June. And then there was a disastrous July. A July that might inspire some to resort to training their players, but they didn't. They held the course and had a very good August, 17-11. And an even better September, 15-9, to close out to make a playoff spot. I'm guessing that they might have been the last team in. Let's see. They were. So they were 1 game back from me, but made the playoffs by just 1 game over the PGH Beaches. The PGH Beaches were just absolutely on fire to start the season. If I recall correctly, they were running real hot. Yeah, they had a 19-10 May and a 19-8 June, but July and August doomed them, even though they had a decent September. So the Colonels get in and then get hot. Let's check out their path to where they are now. So they beat the Sloths, number 1 seed, in 5 games. Let's see if there was high drama in that series. So 6-2 Game 5 win. No extra innings. So not too drama-filled. And then they go on to face the Bombers, the no-cheese Bombers. And the no-cheese Bombers lose 4-2. And then Flagstaff. So Flagstaff was a team that I could not beat all season long. I actually want to check them. So they were in my division. They won my division. Flagstaff 90-72, very strong season. 6 games ahead of me. And if I had to guess, I'm guessing I might have taken 3 or 4, maybe 5 of my division games versus them. Let's check. Team v team. Let's go down to Naperville. Flagstaff 6-8. So slightly better than I thought, but someone that I really struggled with. I want to say there was a home series. I had a 4-game home series where they swept me on all 4 of them. If I can find it. Here it is. So 4-5 loss, 3-5, 2-3, and then 1-8. So Flagstaff was a team that I could not solve all season long. And then, of course, I draw them in the first round of the playoffs and quickly lose with a gentleman's sweep in 4. But the Colonels were the one to finally end Flagstaff's run after they quickly dispatched me and Sheeple King 4-1. So Colonels take them down in 6. Yeah, no problem. Defense. Defense is calling out the stream that I do on Thursdays with kidneys as being a big help. Glad to hear that. So the Time Lords path, they started with wait till next year's Fighting Frogs. Took care of them in 4. Then it took them 7 to dispatch the Gators. And then 6 to dispatch the Eagles. Highland Deer, our champion from last week, fell in the first round here, 3-1 to those Gators. Speaking of other teams that fell via relegation, we've got none other than the St. Angelo Warbirds. So 3-time champion Mac Jacks will not be in the Perfect League next week. But they will be my guest on my Tuesday show, Reading Between the Lineups, where we'll talk about some of the strategies that he uses, talk about his championships that he's won. So make sure you join us for that. It should be a good listen. Back to the series here. So what are we expecting in Louisville? We've got 3 games. If we go by the scheduled starters, we'll have a Spawn v. Pedro game in Game 3. And then we'll go Plank and Price in 4. Interesting to see Plank starting there. You know, Plank is not someone who started a ton in Perfect League anymore. And then in Game 5, we've got Hahn. So 3 lefties scheduled for Greenwich. Now for Louisville, we're going to go Pedro, Price, and Walter. We'll start with a pivotal Game 3. Let's check on our fire emojis and see if they're still hanging around. We've got 3 of them on the Greenwich Time Lords. We've got Maurer, Gwynn, and Ricky. Ricky had a big at-bat with a good, favorable split last game. Wasn't able to come through, but he's still carrying his fire. Seven minutes to the sim. This was actually my most challenging week in the Perfect League. Like, I try to pride myself on not letting the frustration bubble over, but I got real close this week. Just could not string together wins like I had been able to in past weeks. I feel absolutely as lucky as can be to have been able to sneak into the playoffs as one of the lower wildcard teams. But if you look at my record, I think it's the first time I've ever lost more games at home than I've won. So over the course of the season, I ended up underwater at home. I was running the same park that I've run for the past 6 weeks, employing the same strategies that I've used to ratchet some pretty good home records over that time, but just didn't click this year. And as you can see, I never had a great month. My best month was 3 over 500, and then I had that very frustrating June. But who knows? Maybe next week will be better. You have to hope. My Tony Gwynn was absolute fire. That has to be a batting title. Yep. So Gwynn bats 381, a full 30 points better than anyone else. The Greenwich Time Lords Cobb got third for the combined leagues. Ernie Banks atop the home run leaderboard. That's something that we've seen plenty of, but I haven't seen it recently. Let's see what kind of OBP. Yeah, here's the thing with Ernie Banks. Like, he'll give you the power, he'll give you the slug. It's just at what cost? 281 OBP. Like, he's an out machine. The OPS 783. It's going to put him right at league average there. But he's certainly making a lot of outs. So I don't know that you'd want that in the top half of your lineup. But 38 homers will play, that's for sure. Looking around the league, we see a Hornsby that knocked in 139. That's pretty impressive. Great triple slash on that. From a WAR perspective, I like looking at this just to see the spread of names. So Cobb, Gwynn, Mays, Gwynn, Cobb. Interesting to see Cobb getting such high WAR numbers without any glove. Let's see if he played in the field at all. Okay, so for this team, he did play. The Greenwich Time Lords played him in right, 53 games. It's an interesting quantity. Let's check his lineup to see if we can interpret how he got to 53. So Cobb DH versus left, DH versus right. So I'm not sure. Let's check the pitching side and see how many Pedros we have denting the leaderboard. It's normally littered with them. Spawn with actually the top overall ERA figure. That's a bit of a surprise. And look at David Price. Holy cow. I haven't seen a Price that good in a while. So while we've got 3 minutes here, I wanted to share one other element of data that I've started collecting that I find pretty interesting. Let me see if I can get that in a form that's going to be easy to share here. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have all of my data updated, but I'll go ahead and pop this up. So one thing that I've started looking at is favorable percentage. And so what favorable percentage is how often does a team get a given pitcher against his same side batter. So if your pitcher's right-handed, this would be how often does that right-handed pitcher face a right-handed batter versus opposite. And so I'm not calling it RVR or LVL just so that I can hoover up if I want to look at like a team-wide, regardless of handedness, and see how well they're doing the favorable side. And again, this is pro forma data, so this was pulled at some point midweek. I will pull this week's complete data at some point. But as it relates to the Time Lords, this is one area where they really stand out. So this is looking at the entire league-wide information, or league-wide data. And as you look and see here, the Time Lords are an extreme outlier. They are more successful than anyone by a wide margin at lining up their pitcher versus the same side hitter. And they're doing that in a number of ways. Pseudo starting, openering, whatever you want to call it. Making sure that their bullpen is configured to follow the starter with the preferred handedness. But I've never seen a team have an outlier performance like this. I'm curious to see what this number is once I pull the end of season numbers. And as you see in the FIP column, it's not a perfect relationship. Being high in favorable percent is not a lock to be low in FIP. But as you look at the color gradient here, you definitely see a relationship. There's more green at the top, and there's more red at the bottom. And one thing I also like to do here is I like to get specific by pitcher. So there are certain pitchers where they're really, really good versus one side and really, really bad versus the opposite side. And I like to look at, who's being most successful with those arms in particular. So Bob Feller is one that comes to mind. If you're getting Bob Feller facing a majority left-handed pitcher or left-handed batters, bad things can and will happen to you. Same can be said for someone like a Eddie Plank. So, just something to be cognizant of. That as you're building your strategy, as you're looking at your various pieces, you want to be piecing together a strategy that's going to be putting your pitchers in a position to be successful. Everybody likes to look at pitchers around the league and say, oh, I've got a bad Maddox, I've got a bad Spawn. Like, oh, this person always gets good versions of all the players. And some of that is just RNG, absolutely. But some of that is a coach intentionally and successfully getting their players in a position to be successful. All right. We are good for Game 3. Let's check it out. Time Lords at the Colonels. Game 3. So, the Louisville Colonels are starting David Price. I believe we had them scheduled to start Spawn, so I think that is a deviation. And then we'll see who the Time Lords ended up pitching. He'll start off with Jackie Robinson. 45-degree game, a little chilly. The pitch, grounder to second, fielded. Cross the diamond, no problem there. We'll start off the game with a ground out. Fast forward, bottom 3, we've got Spawn on the hill. So Greenwich started Spawn after all. And we've got Ozzy at the plate here with a chance to do some damage. Got Brett on third, Ivan Rodriguez on first. 1-2 to Ozzy. Grounder to first, fielded. Could be 2. No, it'll just be a fielder's choice at second base. The run does score, and Ozzy will end up on first. So that's 1-0 Louisville. We'll go all the way, Super Sim, all the way to the top of the 8th. And Time Lords still trailing by that score, 1-0. David Price still on the mound, so clearly pitching a gem. And now has to battle with Ivan Rodriguez. The 3-2 count on Ivan. He walked him. That's a leadoff walk here in the 8th. He'll stay in the game to face Roger Connor. 1-0 count. Grounder to the pitcher to second for 1. He'll hold the ball there. They do get the lead runner and the better base runner off the bases. Price now to Jackie. Staying in the game here. 1-0 count, the pitch. Grounder to second, fielded. He's going to hold it, though. He's going to eat it. That's an infield single for Jackie Robinson. Pressure ratcheting up here in the 8th as the Colonels are trying to protect a 1-0 game. Price for Ty Cobb. We've got Ty Cobb already in the matchup analyzer. Let's go ahead and show his VL. And let's show, because I love the color green, let's show David Price's VL as well. Look at that. 2.4 FIP, whip under 1. Doesn't walk anyone. Not giving up many homers. Excellent K per 9. This is a very, very tough matchup for the Time Lords here. Hornsby on deck, though, and you know that you'd love to get Hornsby up against Price. 1-2 count to Cobb. The pitch. Grounded to first, fielded. Throws to the pitcher covering the bag. That'll be 2 away. We're still in the 8th, and we've got a pitching change. So Price leaves the game. Trevor Hoffman comes in, and he'll face a Rogers Hornsby here with potentially the game on the line. We have not seen Rogers Hornsby versus Wright yet, so let's pop it up. Hornsby versus Wright. You've got a slightly above average bat, 764 on the OPS. Struggles a bit with an on-base percentage. He's got a 2-2 count here and a chance to really get back in this game. 2-2. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Huge strikeout for Trevor Hoffman to get out of the jam. It's still 1-0. We go to the top of the 9th now. Hoffman in the game still. He's going to face Willie Mays to lead off the inning, and Willie has a full count here. If you're Hoffman, you want to avoid that leadoff base runner at all costs, protecting that very precarious 1-run lead. Full count. The pitch. He walked him. Mays leads off the 9th with a walk, and that brings up Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn has lost his fire. Tony Gwynn was carrying the fire emoji into this game, has lost it now. Let's see what he can do with a 1-2 count here in the top of the 9th with the leadoff man on. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Big strikeout for Trevor Hoffman. Bring up Ken Griffey. 1 away the pitch. Lines it into right. That will get down. Runner is going to hold at second. We've got the tying and go-ahead runs on the bases now as Louisville tries to close this down. We've got a pinch runner. Willie Mays exits the game for Tris Speaker. And Ricky Henderson up now versus Hoffman. We'll look at Ricky's versus Wright in this very critical moment in this game. Here's Ricky. That's versus Wright. And then we'll get Trevor. Once I can find him. There he is. Trevor Hoffman versus Wright. So Ricky's not the best hitter in the world, period. And he struggles even more versus Wright. Below average in just about every category that there is. Very negative bat value, and Hoffman is excellent versus Wright. Ricky is not that much of a double play candidate. He's also carrying the fire emoji. 2-1 count, the pitch. Oh, ball gets away from the catcher. Both runners advance. There goes any hope of the double play, and now a single could flip the script and give the Time Lords the lead. Ricky gets on base. We'll assume it was a walk. The infield now playing in for George Brett with the game on the line. We looked at George Brett's ratings earlier. We looked at his versus left, and now we're looking at his versus right with the game on the line here. 1-2 count for Brett. Hoffman winds. He delivers. Strike 3 called. Brett goes down looking, and a huge strikeout for Trevor Hoffman. That's going to let the infield go back to normal depth, and it's going to bring up Joe Mauer. As you notice on the left side of the screen, Joe Mauer has also lost his fire indicator, but let's see if he's got a clutch base hit with the bases loaded, trailing by 1 in the 9th with 2 outs versus Trevor Hoffman. And a moment this big, we've got to get the matchup analyzer involved. Joe Mauer versus right. Trevor Hoffman versus left. Mauer, a great hitting catcher, but not a great hitter in a vacuum. Versus right is definitely his stronger side. You see he's slightly above average in every category there. And Hoffman, better versus right, but pretty solid still versus left. Let's see if he can nail down the save here. 2-0 count on Mauer. We're not getting a strikeout and we're not getting a walk. So this ball's going in play and it's going to determine the game. Hoffman to Mauer, the pitch. Line drive, base hit, right field. 1 run is in. Here comes the second run. He'll score. Make it 2-1 Time Lords. Joe Mauer, Game 3 hero. Now we go bottom 9, and the Colonels, after leading all game long, now are searching for one to avoid going down 2-1 in the series. Hoffman will start off the inning facing Ricky Henderson. The 1-0 count. Little looper right field, shouldn't be any trouble. It's grabbed, and that's 1 away. Bring up Tony Gwynn. 0-1 count on him, the pitch. Liner to short, fielded, across the diamond, that's 2. And the Colonels down to their last out. Last hope is going to be Willie Mays. Willie Mays does not thrive in his versus right matchups. Actually now below average versus right. This number, right after face of the franchise, right after he was released, was actually very significant. He was absolutely annihilating left-hand pitching and actually very good versus right. But with the ending of that content release, it's really depressed his numbers to the point where he's not quite the hitter that he once was versus right. 0-1 count here. Game on the line. Need something here if you're the Colonels. The pitch. Little ground ball to the pitcher. Picks it, throws it across, not in time. Infield hit, Willie Mays. Keeping the game alive. And that's going to bring up Ty Cobb. We've seen it before, but with the game on the line, we'll see it again. Ty Cobb, one of the very best hitters in this game. Green across the board. 0-1 count. Tying run on first. Winning run at the plate. Here's the pitch. Grounder to second. Fielded. Cross to first. Game over. Time Lords take Game 3 on the heels of a clutch Joe Mauer 2 out, 9th inning base hit that scores 2. They took away his fire emoji, but he comes through anyway. What a game, and the Time Lords sit in the driver's seat with a 2-1 series lead. 3 minutes to the next sim. What a game. I'm loving all these high leverage at-bats that we're seeing. Last week's series had a lot of back and forth games, but didn't have nearly as many pivotal moments where we're protecting a 1-run lead and have a bunch of base runners. What a game. Joe Mauer. You know, Joe Mauer's got a soft spot in my heart for what he's been able to do for me some seasons. I've been playing him as my VR catcher for a very long time. What's that, about 7 seasons? And look at some of these seasons I've been able to capture with him. A 920 OPS season in the Perfect League with 26 dingers. Incredible. An 823 OPS a couple seasons later. So you can get a hot Mauer that lasts the whole season when he's only putting up 380 to 400 plate appearances. But Jay Mallett in the driver's seat with a 2-1 series lead now. As we go to Game 4, we're expecting the Time Lords to throw Eddie Plank, and we're expecting the Colonels to throw Pedro Martinez. Let's see how their pitchers were this year. So the Colonels, Pedro, 12-10, 4.05 ERA. As you see, the hits almost identical to innings pitched, and the walks slightly higher than you'd like to see. Strikeouts about 1 an inning. And let's see what Plank looked like. So Plank gets 14 games, 9 starts, but only logging 30 innings over the course of the season. As we look at the individual game logs, we see a lot of openers. When you look at this page here, if you see something in this column, the GSC column, GSC stands for game score. If you see a number here, that means that that person started the game. So we can look at all of these starts here and say, okay, he started this game, third of an inning. He faced 3 batters. Started this game, 3 batters. Started this game, 5, 3, 3. And this was a full start here. So this was 29 batters in a start, 24, 26. And then the last start of the season was October 11th. So that was a playoff game. And he went 9 batters in that one. And then had a relief appearance in the last series where he went 8. So it'll be interesting to see the deployment strategy. Do we see an opener? Do we see a full start? Do we see a different starter entirely? I think all 3 of those options are on the table. As we look at the Colonels lineup, their versus left-hand pitching lineup has 3 lefties in it. Their versus right-hand lineup has 4 righties in it. So a lineup deployment that is pretty insulated to the pseudo starter. There's not a ton to be gained by trying to open up a lineup to vulnerability that way. So we'll have to see how Jay Mallett plays it. And the sim is grinding. 1s and 0s are firing right now, determining who's going to pick up Game 4. Will it be a 3-1 series lead for the Time Lords? Or will the Colonels even it up 2-2? We'll clear out our analyzers. And we'll be ready to go for the first high leverage at bat. Sim is in. Here we go, Game 4. We start game top 1. Pedro on the mound is expected for the Colonels. He'll face Gwynn to lead off the game. Another cool game time temperature, 46 degrees. The pitch, looper to left, that's going to be a base hit. Some animation glitching there, and Tony's going to take advantage and stretch that into a double. That is an error. So Henderson flubs the pickup, as per the game notes here. It was a looper single to left. He botched the play, and Gwynn takes second as a result. So Gwynn now on third. Ty Cobb at first. So already in the first inning, we're getting some trouble here for the Louisville Colonels. Tris Speaker at the plate. 2-1 count. Grounder to first, picks it, covers his bag, gets the out there, throws to second, trying for 2. The tag is applied late. Run scores, and we've still got a runner in scoring position with 1 away. Martinez now facing George Brett. 1-0 count, the pitch. Crushes that right down the right field line. That's going to be extra bases. 1 run will score. Brett heading to second. The throw comes there. He's up with a stand-up RBI double, making it 2-0 Greenwich Time Lords. Still in the top of the second here. Time Lords trying to add on, and they've got Ty Cobb up versus Pedro Martinez. Full count. The pitch. Looper to right. That's trouble, and it's down. Run will try to score, and there will be no throw. Make it 3-0. Pedro Martinez getting knocked around early. We are in bottom 3 now, and we see Eddie Plank still on the mound. So what this tells us is that this was not a 3-batter opener. Time will tell whether he's going to be leaving the game shortly, but he's still in the game here in the 3rd. He's yet to give up a hit, and he faces George Brett. 1-1 count. Crushes it left field, way back. Might be, it could be, it is. And the Colonels are on the board with a George Brett Oppo Taco against Eddie Plank. A very tough matchup for Brett, and he deals with it anyway. 3-1, and we go to the top of the 4th, and Pedro has found some more trouble. He's got Mauer at 2nd, Gwynn at 1st, and now has to face Tris Speaker with 2 away in the 4th. The pitch. Deep drive in the right center. It splits the gap and goes all the way to the wall. 1 run will score. Here comes the 2nd. He'll hold at 3rd. That's a stand-up double for Speaker, making it 4-1. Pedro cannot stop the bleeding in this one. Check this out. We've got a pitching change. We have got a pitching change for the Greenwich Time Lords. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Eddie Plank is goners. And in comes 100 legend Greg Maddux. And he'll face a Willie Mays here with Gwynn on 1st and nobody out in the 4th. The pitch. Looper to left. Shouldn't be trouble. It drops. Played very casually, very non-aggressively. It gets in. And that's a little looping single to left to make it 2 on and nobody out. It's going to bring up Ty Cobb. 1-2 to Cobb. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Big strikeout by Maddux. Not known for his K per 9, but gets a big strikeout there. Next batter is Rogers Hornsby. Full count on him. Grounder to short. Fielded. 2nd one. First double play and inning over. The Time Lords get out of the jam with no further damage and carry a 4-1 lead to the top of the 5th. Michael Vick's series score is 1-1. I meant to be updating this icon as we went. So let's give the Time Lords game 1. Let's give the Colonels game 2. And let's give the Time Lords game 3. Clean that up just a bit. All right, that looks good enough to keep going. All right, yep. 2-1 series lead for the Time Lords, and they're winning 4-1 here in the bottom of the 6th. Maddox still on the mound, and the Colonels threatening here with Gwynn at the plate and Ricky Henderson on 1st. The 2-1 count, the pitch. Loop to center, that's going to get down. Will Henderson try for 3rd, and he will. The throw, not in time. Runners at the corners. Colonels trying to chase a 3-run lead. And that brings up Willie Mays. We've looked at Mays VR already. Let's check out how Greg Maddux has been versus right-hand batters this season. There's Maddux overall, and here's his versus right. Very strong numbers, does not walk anyone. Homer's really depressed. Very strong whip and good FIP. Let's see what Willie has in mind here in the bottom of the 6th. 0-1 count, the pitch. Looper to right. Playable. Makes the catch, coming home with the ball, not in time. Make it 4-2. The Colonels cut into the lead. Ty Cobb at the plate now. No better time to flip over to Maddox's versus left. And you see a very different picture there. The whip really jumps through the roof there. Walks almost double. Homers approach league average. So Ty Cobb at the plate now. 1-2 count facing Maddux. The pitch. Crushes it down the line. Fielded by the right fielder. It's going to cut it off there and hold the runners to 1st and 2nd with 2 away. That brings up Hornsby, putting Maddox in a favorable RVR matchup here. Hornsby obviously much better versus left-hand pitching as well. Advantage to the pitcher here, but let's see if Hornsby can come through anyway. 2-2 count. There's the pitch. Crushes it! High and deep to left center. Forget about it. That's a Hornsby bomb at a clutch spot. Make it 5-4 Louisville. Hornsby takes Maddox deep to left center. 430 happy feet. And now the Colonels lead the game. What a home run by Rogers Hornsby. We now go to the top of the 7th. The Colonels trying to protect the lead. They struggled with it in game 1 when they ended up walking Pop Lloyd, which led to a Tony Gwynn grand slam. They blew a lead in game 3 when Hoffman couldn't close the door and gave up the game-deciding single to Mauer. And now Seaver is on in the top of the 7th to try to protect this one-run lead. Full count on Trist to start the inning. And he walks him. That's a leadoff walk for Trist Speaker. Brings up George Brett. Now, Tom Seaver is not the guy you want on the mound if you're facing some really tough lefties. Tom Seaver versus left. The walks go above league average. The strikeouts come down. The whip's high. We'll see if he can induce a ground ball here from George Brett. The pitch. Looper to left. That ball's getting down. We've got 2 on and no out. And Chuck's helping me with the pronunciation of the city. You know, I know some people from the area. And I hear them say Louisville. No, Louisville, I believe is Louisville, as you've phonetically spelled out in the chat. I'll try to work on that. It's going to be a hard habit to break. But we'll see how well I can do it. We've got 2 on, no out now for Roger Connor, and Seaver now facing his 3rd consecutive batter, which really plays to his weak side. Just trying to get lucky here. He's got Hornsby on deck, someone he's going to be much more suited to succeed against, but he's got to get through Connor first. He's got a full count. The pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Clutch strikeout from Seaver to punch out Roger Connor. And that does bring up Rogers Hornsby with 1 away. First, a pickoff throw to second, runner back. Now, Hornsby hit a same-side homer versus Maddox for the Colonels. Let's see if he can do something for the Time Lords. The pitch. That's ball 4. Seaver walks Hornsby. And that's going to bring up Griffey here. Boy, if you were actively managing, you'd love to bring on a lefty specialist for this at-bat here and for Fire Mauer to come. But he's got a 2-2 count on Griffey in a clutch spot, infield end. The pitch. Fly to right, playable, catches it. Runner's going to try to score, and he's going to make it. So the Time Lords tie it up on a sacrifice fly by Ken Griffey Jr. And that brings up Joe Mauer. Not any Joe Mauer, but Fire Mauer. Fire Mauer's been a problem for Louisville already in this series. Let's see if he's got another clutch hit up his sleeve here for Greenwich. The full count. He walked him. Mauer gets on base, extending the inning. And that's going to bring up Pop Floyd. We've got a new pitcher coming in. It's Bob Feller. So interesting, the AI again does not match handedness. We need to check out the Louisville bullpen to see if there were no lefties available to come in here. But Feller versus Pop Lloyd. Let's go ahead and use this high leverage opportunity to look at the matchup analyzer. Feller versus left. Let's get some Pop Lloyd versus right. So Lloyd is a negative bat, but he is much better versus right than he is versus left. And Feller's big problem is he struggles with the walks, struggles with the control. So you'd hate to see, if you're the Louisville Colonels here, you'd hate to see another clutch walk of Pop Lloyd, but we won't here as the action's going to be in play with a 1-1 count. Feller to Lloyd. Big moment here in the 7th. The pitch. Looper to left. Plays it on a hop. That's going to score a run. Second's going to try to score, and he's going to make it. Make it 7-5. Clutch hit from Pop Lloyd, a man not known for his bat, but he comes through big here in the 7th. The Colonels will be forced to try to answer here in the 8th. And they'll start with Tony Gwynn. Walter Johnson in to pitch for the Time Lords. 1-0 count. Loop to right, base hit. Tony Gwynn's on with a single. That brings up Willie Mays. 2-2 count on him. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 2 away in the 8th. That brings up Ty Cobb. 1-0 count on him. The pitch. Grounder to second. Second baseman can't get the ball out of his glove, so that'll be an infield hit. Bring up Rogers Hornsby here. Big spot in the 8th. Let's quickly check out Walter Johnson's versus right statistics. A very strong pitcher, as you see by his numbers here. And specifically, let's also check out his split from reliever versus starter. So this is Walter Johnson, the starter, and this is Walter Johnson, the reliever, and this is the feller that we're looking at right here. Walter Johnson, the reliever, facing Rogers Hornsby. Pretty good matchup here for the Time Lords to get out of this jam. Let's see what happens. 2-1 count on Hornsby. The pitch. Fly ball. Deep, but playable in center. Mays shifts over. Makes the grab. Excuse me, that's Griffey. So the Time Lords get out of the jam in the 8th and carry their 2-run lead into the 9th. They'll first try to add some insurance here. Guidry versus Griffey to start off the inning. In a matchup that definitely favors Louisville. Guidry winds, delivers. Fly ball! Deep right field! Did he do it? He did! Ken Griffey Jr. with the long ball insurance run. Make it 8-5. 8-5 Greenwich Time Lords. So we go bottom 9 now. Tall task here for the Colonels. They need to get 3 or they go down in the series 3-1. They're going to start it with George Brett with Jackie on first. Walter Johnson on to get the save here for the Greenwich Time Lords. The pitch. Grounder to first, fielded. To second for 1, across for the double play. And what little rally it was is now expunged from the record. We've now got 2 outs for Ivan Rodriguez. Last hope for him here. 1-0 count the pitch. Little blooper to right. Should be an easy play. And that will end the game. Time Lords go up 3-1 in the series. We are seeing a troubling trend of the Colonels unable to protect leads in this series. This is now their 3rd blown save. 3rd blown lead, late lead, that results in a loss. And this one could be attributed to that leaky bullpen yet again. Sim is in. Pretty quick sim, which we all know what that likely means. Well, we'll check it out and find out either way. Before we jump into the sim, I do want to check out that Louisville bullpen because we've now seen two relief pitcher selections by the AI that surprised me. There are lefties out there. It looks like they were rested as well. And what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at how rested the lefties were because it was odd to see the AI matching up righties to come in to face lefties. But alas, here we are. Let's go game 5. Oops, I just clicked on my own game. We don't need to relive that. Time Lords hit the Colonels for game 5. Elimination game for the Colonels. They're going to throw Walter Johnson here to try to stop the bleeding. He'll start the game by facing Tony Gwynn. The pitch. Fly ball center. Shouldn't be any trouble. Mays shifts over and makes the grab. That's 1 away. We go top 3 now. Time Lords at the plate. They've got their troublesome Pop Lloyd at the plate. Lloyd is known for the walk that he had in Game 1, which not only was an RBI walk, but led to the grand slam by Gwynn, and then came through with a big clutch hit yesterday versus Bob Feller. Johnson to Pop. Full count. Top 3 the pitch. Grounder to third. Fielded. To second for 1. Across the diamond for a double play. Big play for the Colonels there to erase the base runner and get the twin killing. We go top 4 now. Still the Time Lords at the plate. Colonels haven't had a chance to highlight yet. And Walter Johnson faces a George Brett with Tris Speaker on first. The pitch. He walked him. 2 on now with 1 away. Bring up Roger Connor. Not any old Roger Connor, but an icy cold Roger Connor. What can Connor do here? He's got a 3-0 count. I think we might just see a walk here. That's the pitch, and that's exactly what we see. Load him up. Load him up in this tie game. We're still 0-0. And now Rogers Hornsby to the plate. Hornsby versus Walter. We'll throw up Walter's starter numbers there. 1-2 count on Hornsby. The pitch. Strike 3 called. Clutch strikeout for Walter. The infield was back conceding a run if they didn't get 2. But the strikeout precludes that from happening. Next up, we've got Ken Griffey Jr. 1-2 count on him. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And Walter Johnson strikes his way out of the jam. Yeah, Vic, after this game, it will be a 15-minute dead sim. So maybe we get into some more numbers then. So top 5 now. We've got the Time Lords at the plate. Pop Lloyd on first. Tony Gwynn at the plate. Johnson delivers. Looper to left. It's going to get down. That will be 2 on and 1 out. And it brings up Ty Cobb. This is a very tough lineup for Walter Johnson to have to go through. As we look at his matchup analyzer here, you see that his versus left significantly worse than his versus right, as I toggle between the two for illustration. And as we look over here on the left side of the screen, he's got 8 lefties that he's trying to fight. So this is a really tough ask to get Walter Johnson through this lineup without too much trouble. And we'll see if it comes back to bite him. Top 5 now. Cobb, 1 away with 2 on. 2-2 count the pitch. Fly ball center. Should be playable. Mays shifts over, makes the grab. Fires it in, and no advancement by the runners. Tris Speaker now strolls to the plate with 2 away. 1-2 count on him. Johnson leans and fires. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Walter Johnson with some huge strikeouts in this one. We go bottom 5 now. Noodles Hahn on for the Time Lords. This is our first highlight of the Colonels in this game. Al Kaline at first, 1 away. Full count. Here's the pitch. Walked him. Hahn getting into some trouble here in this scoreless game in the 5th. That brings up Ozzie Smith, not known for his bat. He is even worse versus left-hand pitching. 0-1 count, the pitch. Grounder up the middle, that's a base hit. Fielded in center. Relay throw comes in, and the runner will hold at third. We've got the bases loaded and 1 out. That brings up Tony Gwynn, and it also brings in a new pitcher, Pedro Martinez into the game. We'll quickly look at his splits between starter and reliever. So here's Pedro overall, and then here's Pedro the starter. Here's Pedro the reliever. Look at how green that got. FIP under 3, WHIP under 1. And now he faces a Tony Gwynn here with the bases loaded and 1 away in the 5th. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Huge strikeout for Pedro Martinez. Jackie is the last hope for the Colonels here to come through and capitalize on this rally they had cooking in the 5th. 2-2 count on Jackie. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Pedro with some high leverage strikeouts to get out of the jam, and we're still scoreless as we go to the 6th. Starting off that 6th, we have George Brett versus Walter Johnson. We're starting this highlight with a 3-1 count, and that's because he's walking him. So Brett on with a leadoff walk. Walter Johnson has been playing with fire for much of this game, but he's been able to get out of it via strikeouts. We'll see if he can continue to do so. He's going to need to start here with Roger Connor. 1-2 count. Little looper to center. Mays shifting over. He'll make the grab. No runner tag. 1 away. Bring up Rogers Hornsby. 2-2 count, the pitch. Grounder to second. To second for 1. To first, a double play. Inning over in the 6th. That's going to conserve some pitch count there for Walter Johnson, something he desperately needed with how many base runners he's had and how many strikeouts and deep counts he's been running. That was a very efficient inning, just what the doctor ordered. We go bottom 6 now. We've got Greenwich's reliever Pedro in, facing Ty Cobb. 3-1 count on Cobb, the pitch. Crushed! Deep right field! Around the foul pole and gone! Ty Cobb unties it. Make it 1-0 Louisville. Huge homer there for Cobb against a tough customer in Pedro. 1-0 Louisville, and they've got another lead that they will try to protect in the late innings. Pedro now v. Brett. 1-2 count, the pitch. Crushes this one! High and deep! Make it 2-0 Louisville. Chuck giving me some daps for the pronunciation of Louisville. I'm working on it. Maybe you'll get to the Perfect League World Series soon, and I'll get some more practice. So 2-0 now. We go to the 8th, and Louisville is trying their best. Their best defense is going to be a good offense here if they can add some more insurance runs and take away some of those high leverage bullpen innings which have been crippling them in the series. Feller versus George Brett here. Now, George Brett just hit a homer his last plate appearance. Let's see if he's got an encore in mind. Feller to Brett. The pitch. Crushes it up the middle. That's a base hit. Around third is a runner, and he's going to try to score, and he will. Make it 3-0 Colonels. Insurance run provided by George Brett. And that insurance run is given to Trevor Hoffman as he tries to nail this one down. He's got 2 away and nobody on in the 9th, and Rogers Hornsby at the plate. The pitch. Crushes it into the corner and right. It's going to be extra bases. Keeping the game alive. Next batter's Ken Griffey. 2-2 count. The pitch. Crushes this one to the corner and left. That's going to score a run and put Griffey into scoring position. And the Colonel's faithful fans starting to wonder what's going on here. This very safe 3-0 lead all of a sudden is feeling pretty precarious. We've got Fire Maurer now at the plate here with an opportunity to tie the game with a long one. 1-2 count from Hoffman, the pitch. Strike 3 called. Game over. And the Colonels win Game 5 and make the series 3-2. What a game. Dead sim coming in 3 minutes, and then we'll have Game 6 after that. We'll clear up our matchup analyzer and be ready for Game 6 when it's ready for us. Let's also appropriately give the Colonels Game 5 on our graphic. Our overlay graphic, which I always forget to update. There we go. We are ready. So what should we expect in Game 6? I actually want to look at the box score from Game 5 before we think about that. So what did we end up seeing? We ended up seeing Noodles Hahn for 18 batters, which led to Pedro. Odd that Pedro was the weak link there, given that Pedro is just so dominant out of the pen. But anything can happen. And then what we really saw more than anything was Walter Johnson with a heck of a game for Louisville. able to go through that lineup, which had 8 left-handed bats, which is definitely not a great matchup for him. Get himself into trouble plenty. He had 5 walks in 6 innings to go along with 3 hits and really strike his way out of them. So Michael Vick is asking what the strategy is of putting Hahn on a pitch count. And, I won't speak for Jay Mallett, but we saw the splits for Pedro. We saw how good he is when he comes in from the pen. I'll go ahead and flash him up in case someone missed it before. So here's regular Pedro, here's starter Pedro, and here's reliever Pedro. So it could just be that Jay Mallett wanted Noodles Hahn to go through the lineup twice, hope to limit damage there, and then have Pedro bring it home. Depending on how efficiently Hahn could get through those 2 times around the lineup, you could conceivably have a Hahn-Pedro complete game. Now, you ask an interesting question of if pitchers don't do as well through the 3rd time through the order. To my knowledge, I have not heard other people speculate that exists within the game, that there's some game mechanic which decreases pitcher effectiveness throughout the duration of a game. However, we know that effect 100% exists in real baseball. So there exists the possibility it is in the game, or there exists the possibility that as a pitcher ups his pitch count, he does lose some effectiveness. I'm sure that there's a stamina related degradation in performance. And so, 18 batters through the order, 77 pitches for Hahn, you're not going to bump into that at all. So maybe that's part of the consideration. But definitely an interesting decision nonetheless. And then the game before it, I want to see the Plank strategy. Okay, game before it, Plank faced 7 batters. So Plank fed right to Maddox, and Maddox was long relief. Maddox really struggled, but was bailed out. Dead Sim should come in just a minute. We've got another tight one. Since we've been broadcasting these, I think our only 5-game series was the Mac Jacks versus the Fair Play Cheaters. Every other one has been at least 6. Yeah, so Michael Vick's saying in the chat that, Greenwich had less faith in Plank, and I think that's absolutely true. Noodles Hahn is a better card than Plank. Plank has shown that he's not quite starter material. So I think that's a warranted consideration for sure. So given that we've got 13 minutes to kill here, let's do a quick data dump, and you guys can see a little bit of what goes on with that process. So for anyone who's never done this before, I highly recommend it. 1, because it's fun to crunch the numbers, and 2, because it deepens your understanding of the game. And so Michael Vick is asking in the chat, how do you choose the number of batters with this strategy? And what you're typically doing is looking at the handedness. So if someone were plotting against me and someone wanted to use maybe a left-handed opener against me in my left-handed lineup, the optimal break point would be at 7. So you run a left-handed starter against me, you get them through Roger Connor, and then you bring in a righty who's going to get to start, who's going to face Campanella, who can't really hit right-hand pitching, Smith, who can't hit anyone, Mays, Hornsby, Aaron, all much weaker versus right, before they have to get to those scary left-hand bat again. So it's typically a handedness break in the lineup, and that's how that strategy is dictated. All right, back to the data dump. So you do it by going to sortable stats, And this top bar here is entirely customizable. You can put whatever you want up here. And I've got my extract that I do. And then once you've got it set, go ahead and pop it out. And so on my other screen, which you guys can't see right now, the browser opened. And I'm interacting with that now. Get all of that data. Oh, the one thing I forgot to do is actually put a split on here. So let's get our versus left split. We'll start with that. Grab all the data. Get over to my hitting tab. We'll plunk it in. This stream just got a lot nerdier than what you guys signed up for, and for that I apologize. So I have some manual data entry that I do to contextualize this information, because you can't just get a bunch of player information together and have it mean anything unless you know when it happened, because the players do decay over time. Some players actually improve over time. So you definitely want that critical bit of context. So we've got our versus left, and now I get my versus right. Plunk it in. We'll add that same bit of context. And then the moment we've done that, we're ready to analyze some new hitting data. But actually, the thing that I was most curious about was analyzing the pitching data to see what Jay Mallett's end of season favorable percentage was. That was something I was very interested in. So let's actually pull that now. So again, we got our versus right split for our pitching data. Grab that, pull it to our spreadsheet. I can almost feel people running away from the stream right now. You know what? I need to delete out the partial data that I put in here before. There's my breakpoint. Beautiful. So this is my VR data. We've got the year correct. And now let's go back and get VL. Grab the info. And then let's find our new breakpoint. There it is. Beautiful. All right. Now we should be able to crunch all the numbers we want and see what they say. Just refresh it. Go all pitchers. And look at that. Look at that outlier. So Jay Mallett at the top of the board with a 68% favorable statistic. More than 2/3 of the batters that came up to face his pitching are facing a bad matchup. That's huge. And it's such an outlier when you look at everyone else in the league. 38 to 51 is the range. So the range between second and 40th is 13%. And the delta between first and second is 17%. That's pretty wild. I'm curious to see how that breaks down by pitcher. So let's do a little ad hoc data discovery on the fly. For some reason that didn't paste as a pivot table, so let's do it again. There we go. All right, so what we want to do is we want to do Time Lords at the top and get all of his players at the bottom. All right, and then let's sort this by innings pitched. Something looks off here. It's weird to have so many 100% and have as many 0%, so this could be a data issue. I won't bother you guys with troubleshooting that on the fly. What I will do is pop back our matchup analyzer. If I discover anything earth-shattering, I'll throw it up on the Discord. But I know from analyzing earlier in the week that he's definitely actively managing to get the right splits. Yeah. But that's definitely something that if I'm you guys, I want to be cognizant about. I want to be consciously trying to find ways to get your pitchers in better matchups. And I mean, you could do something as simple as having an entire rotation of left-handed starting pitching and then an entire bullpen of right-hand relief pitching. Like that's a simple way to get your relievers in very favorable matchups. Now, with where the meta is right now and how left-handed starting pitching is faring, unless you're throwing out Noodles Hahn and Tom Glavine and some of the better left-hand pitching, that I wouldn't necessarily endorse that as a profitable strategy. But at a minimum, that will help you maximize what you're getting out of some of your bullpen arms, like a Bob Feller, a Dwight Gooden, if you've got one out there. But that's definitely something that's going to correlate with overall pitcher success, is how often are they put into a position to succeed versus how often are they facing a guy that's really going to take advantage of them. And that's the one thing that I drone on about, is just how splitty this game is. Like in real life, Greg Maddux was no horrible pitcher versus left. He was slightly better versus right, but he was definitely very, very good against left as well. But as we look at Greg Maddux Legend, 100 versus right, you see a whip of 116. Strong walk per 9. Once you go left, the whip jumps to 1.4. Walks go way up. Ks go way down. So I think that because the game is so splitty, we've seen the birth of and the success of so many of the strategies that really reduce that splittiness or that split advantage. Almost, should say, manipulate the split advantage to their favor to put their hitters and put their pitchers into better positions to be successful. Yeah, I want to dive more into that data, but I need to check that the data is not compromised, given that there's a lot of 100% and 0% in there, which really shouldn't be true. So let me do that first, and then I can bring that back in at a later date. 3 minutes until the sim. And if it's a long sim, we'll know what it means. If it's a short sim, we'll also know what it means. But we'll get to watch what happens either way. Do we have any more Diamond League champions in the chat? I think we've heard from 2 of them. So Tucker 824 asking what the meta rotation is right now. You're seeing most teams, and supply of cards is going to have a large bearing on what the rotation is, but you're going to see most teams with these top 4. You're going to see Pedro, Walter, Maddox, and Spawn in some order. The 5th spot is kind of open. You see a lot of people do a lot of different things. You see some Seaver, you see some Hubble, you see a little bit of Verlander, and then if someone happens to have one of the rarer cards, like a Glavin, a Noodles Hahn, a Lefty Grove SE, a Schoolboy Rowe, a PTCS Cy Young, that would obviously take that spot of the wild card 5th and then likely bump towards the top of that rotation. Yep, face of the franchise Maddox. Good point, Vic. So Mac Jack's dropping a value bomb in the chat that in the last 11 seasons in Perfect League, the VR percent of PA went from 58 to 68. That's a pretty big shift. "45 seconds to the sim." Yeah, and as it relates to building out a rotation, I think it's less about just finding your 5 and setting it and forgetting it, and more about actively looking at the opponents on your schedule and figuring out which of your pitchers are the best matchup to go against that team in whatever stadium you're going to be playing in. Like, some stadiums are just bad fits to roll out your Maddox. Some stadiums are horrible fits to run out a right-hand pitcher versus a left-hand pitcher. So that's definitely part of the active management needed to succeed at the highest level. And there's a counterpoint. Someone can be an away from keyboard warrior and stack up a bunch of wins and can say, I didn't touch my team all week long and I ended up in the playoffs. That can happen. Anything can happen. You can actively manage your team to the fullest extent and end up missing the playoffs entirely and end up 10 games under 500. But it's all about just giving yourself the best chance. At the end of the day, it's a dice roll. Do you want that die to be loaded in your favor or loaded against you? I definitely try to do what I can to load that die in my favor as often as I can. We are starting the sim. Probably in 2 minutes or so, we're going to get a good idea of what happened here. Quanta Condor says the moment he started active managing, after a week of not touching it, he lost 16 in a row. So that's commendable, although unlikely. Sim is in. That's a pretty quick sim. Took about a minute. If anyone from out of the park is watching, I'll reiterate my request that you guys move the long sim to one after the final game of the World Series so as to not be spoilery. That would be awesome and improve the quality of this broadcast, I think. All right, here we go. We have got Hubble on the mound for Greenwich. We're back in the Greenwich Stadium. Let's remember that the Greenwich Stadium favors right-hand batters. Full favor to batting average. Slight favor to home runs. The extra base hits are neutral. And we've got Hubble facing Gwynn to start the game. Game 6 of the World Series is underway. Here's the pitch. Liner to short, fielded, across the diamond, one away. And now we're in the top of the second here. Still got Hubble on the mound. Got 2 on, though, for Al Kaline. Kaline, a platoon outfielder, does better against left-hand pitching. We've got Mays and Hornsby on first. 0-2 count, the pitch. Grounder to short, fielded. To second for 1, across for a double play. Twin killing. Greenwich out of the second. No trouble there. We go top 3. Greenwich still waiting on their first batting highlight. They'll have to wait a little bit longer as we've got Tony Gwynn facing Hubble here in the top of the third. Hubble winds and delivers. That ball crushed. Forget about it. A moonshot to right. Tony Gwynn makes it 1-0 Louisville. think I got the pronunciation of Louisville right that time, too. Tony Gwynn comes up big with a 400-foot shot to right. Fast forward all the way to the 7th. So the Greenwich Time Lords are getting their first sim here in bottom 7. Not something you want to see, but they've got a Hornsby facing Spawn. Spawn in relief. 2-2 count on Hornsby the pitch. Crush, deep center. Way back, way back. It's gone. 2-0 lead becomes a 2-1 lead just like that. 437 happy feet for the home crowd. Make it 2-1. The Colonels have had a devil of a time holding late leads, and they'll try to do one more. The Time Lords now bring up Tony Gwynn to the plate facing Spawn. 2-2 count. Liner to short. Fielded. Across the diamond. Inning over. 2 innings left. Spawn now facing Cal Ripken. Bottom 8. We'll go ahead and pop up Cal. We haven't seen his matchup analyzer yet tonight. Cal Ripken faces the franchise versus left. You see a 750 hitter. Not bad. At the same time, let's go ahead and get some Warren Spawn. We haven't seen him yet tonight on the matchup analyzer either. Spawn faces the franchise. Instead of looking at his VL, let's just look at his reliever numbers. Very solid. Bottom 8, here we go. Spawn to Ripken the pitch. Crush to center. Deep. Caught by the center fielder. Mays makes the grab, 1 away. That brings up Ivan Rodriguez with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. Time Lords trying to find a run. That's not going to do it as Ivan Rodriguez takes strike 3 to end the inning. We go to the 9th. Louisville successfully grabbed an insurance run last game. Can they do it again? They've got George Brett up with 2 away, 2-2 count. Facing a Walter Johnson out of the pen. The wind of the pitch. That ball hit to right. That's going to get down and be a 2-out single for George Brett. Al Kaline comes up next. Kaline versus Walter Johnson. Not a great matchup. We'll check it out anyway. Al Kaline versus Wright. You see a very negative bat value there. 659 OPS. The underwater OBP. I hate to see any OBP under 300. And Kaline versus Wright sporting one. Let's see what he can do against Johnson here. 2 away the pitch. Hit up the middle. That's a base hit. That's going to keep the inning alive. George Brett will stop at second. We've got 2 on and 2 out. And they end up not getting the run. So we go bottom 9. And the Colonels have the tall task of protecting a 1-run lead. And they're going to face an icy cold Roger Connor, a George Brett, and a Ty Cobb. Hoffman to Connor. The wind in the pitch. Fly ball to center. Playable. Mays is there, makes the grab, 1 away. Now George Brett to the plate. The wind in the pitch. Grounder to second, fielded. Across the diamond, and that's 2 away now. The Colonels 1 out away from a very clean 9th inning here and a Game 6 win. They'll face Ty Cobb, 1 out, or 2 outs, 1-0 count. Fly to left. That ball's going to get down and keep the game alive. Cobb's going to hold it first. He's a great base runner. Could attempt to steal that bag. Hornsby to the plate. Game on the line here. A home run wins the World Series. A strikeout ends the game and sends us to a Game 7. 1-2 count. Hoffman sets. Delivers. Little dinker. Second baseman out. Makes the grab. Game over. We're going to a Game 7. The Colonels have led late in all 6 games. They've won 3 of them and are now 1 win away from being Perfect League champs. 7 minutes to the sim as we look to Game 7. I love Game 7s. I love them because we know we're getting the long sim, and the long sim tells us nothing. But we also know that we've got another 15 minutes to kill. We go to Game 7. Any predictions here? Any predictions as to who's going to come out on top? Let's take a deep dive here. We know there's no off day, so the way that the bullpens are set right now is the way that they're going to be. So let's look at both teams. Let's go Time Lords first. So, we've got, as far as options to start, we could see Randy. We haven't seen Randy yet in this series. We could see Plank. He's fully rested. He'll have 100% to be a starting pitcher, I believe. We could see Price. All ready to go. Spawn could start as well. So those guys are all fully rested. Now Pedro could not start and be 100%. However, at 86% rested, he would definitely be an option around of the pen as a follower. We've got a rested Hoffman. That's always great to have in your back pocket. Maddox at 77%. We could see him in the game. Probably not going to be focused as a follower. And then the rest of these guys we likely will not see in any capacity. Hubble is exhausted from the last game. Seaver, same. Walter, the same. Noodles Han threw 77 a couple days ago, so we won't see him. And then Feller's kind of borderline. But if you've got this palette of options, and if you've got Hoffman, Martinez, and Maddox, I personally wouldn't want to see Feller either way. So Tucker asking in the chat if I'm aware of any way to export a PT roster in a way that can be used to sim in the regular OTP engine. I don't think I'd be your best resource for that. That's not something I have any experience with. So maybe someone else in the chat could give you some direction there, but it's not something I have any experience with. So getting back to the Time Lords here, all four logical options to start for them, really all four of their only options are all left-handed starters. So we're definitely seeing a lefty start this Game 7. Which lefty we see and how far they go, those are to be determined, and those are anyone's guess. Now let's jump over to Louisville and see what their options are. So we've got Feller rested. Fernandez fully rested, hasn't pitched in the series. Maddox fully rested. Maddox 99 fully rested. We've got a fully rested Plank. David Price, 104 pitches 5 days ago, which means he's fully rested as a starter, would not be fully rested as a reliever. We've got Tom Seaver, who is fully rested as a reliever, but would not be fully rested as a starter. And then Guidry, who is rested enough as a reliever, also would not be available as a starter. Pedro, mostly off the table either way. 105 pitches 4 days ago means he's going to be gassed as a reliever, and he's 69% as a starter. What's going on, NYD? Hoffman, so his preferred closer is 54% stamina, so that's kind of sketchy. You'd be playing with fire a little bit to throw that out there, but I could understand if someone did anyway. Walter Johnson's going to be off the table. Warren Spahn off the table entirely. So his rotation appears as if we'll see David Price this game. He could call an audible and go Maddox. That's really the only audible that I'd see in play here. And given that David Price has been his locked-in starter all season, I'm not sure that we'll see that. So it looks like we're looking at a couple of lefties on the hill. A lefty to be determined from the Time Lords. Hey, thanks for the sub, MK Sen. Really appreciate it. And a lefty for the Colonels as well. And we'll get a sim in a couple minutes, and then we'll determine a champion. And someone will have an 8-inch plastic trophy heading their way from Out of the Park Developments. Yeah, FDEP, when you click export, it does open up a browser, and you'll see all of the data within there in a Google Chrome tab or whatever. So just press Control A to scoop all of that, and then go into your spreadsheet of choice and press Control V, and it'll dump it all there in a way that you can start working with. I like to paste special values only, because if you just click paste, then you'll get some of that web formatting. I think it comes in with a black background, and I don't want any of that. I just want the clean numbers. So Quanta Condor, past Perfect League champion, in the chat, says the trophy's sweet, a little smaller than he thought it'd be. Maybe the trophies will be bigger next year. I think this was the first year with the trophies, so kind of proving out the concept. But I think it's totally cool. One minute to the sim. It's interesting that in this Game 7, we'll have a couple of left-handed starting pitching. The league in general has been moving away from left-handed starting pitching with the drops of Walter Johnson and Pedro. You're seeing a lot less of them. Spawn is really the only lefty that you're seeing thrown by most teams league-wide. And we're going to have a championship determined by 2 non-Spawn lefties. Yeah, great point, NYD. Yeah, I don't think I saw the PTCS belts. Yep, thanks for the reminder, Chuck. I always fall behind on this. I need to have an assistant each stream to remind me when I need to throw these logos up, or just to update this. So the Time Lords took 5. Oops, that's 6. Should be 6. There we go. Now our graphic is good. Hey, thanks for the sub, Chuck. And Chuck 8403, thank you. And also thank you to T-Chuck for being here. Yeah, and congrats on winning the Perfect League. Or not the Perfect League, the DLL League. Definitely the hardest Diamond League around. And you'll be joining the Perfect League to represent. That's pretty awesome. All right, long sim is starting. This could take anywhere up to 15 minutes. So I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat. If you guys want to go further down the data angle to learn a little bit more about how I prepare my numbers, how I look at the numbers from the context of trying to make player decisions, deployment decisions. You know, we can look at more statistics from within the Perfect League. We can just turn this into an AMA. But we've definitely got a good 10, 15 minutes to kill while this sim comes in. Hey, what's going on, Shifted? Good to see you in the chat. Did you get to at least make the playoffs in DLL? Or is it too strong for that? "91 wins and no playoff berth." That's tough, man. That's tough. Man, 93 wins didn't even make the playoffs? That's insane. So Quanta Condor is asking if pseudoing is a strategy the average player can pull off without maintenance. And I think that pseudoing is a very delicate strategy to employ because you really need to be able to keep a close eye on what you're doing. And if you screw up, you need to be able to catch it quickly. So let me give an example. Like, let's say you want to pseudo Hubble to Feller or Hubble to Seaver. And so you set your Hubble for a 3-batter minimum or 3-batter maximum. And then you have Seaver or Verlander come in and then five days later, unless you actively change that, you're going to have that run again. And there's no guarantee that as you run that again, it's going to be the right move. There's no guarantee that that's going to be what you want to do. So if you're going to get into the realm of pseudo starting, you really need to be committed to doing it for the sim that you're doing it for, and then completely undoing it and making sure all the artifacts of that change, and by artifacts I mean the batter count maxes, the pitch count maxes, the things that guided the game to do as you intended there, to be undone so that you're not having your AFK sims crush you as your bullpen is just completely taxed because every 5th day you've got a Hubble going out for 3 batters and then your bullpen trying to make it work. So I think if you're not able to be following sim to sim, you really shouldn't mess with it. If you're going to be making the playoffs anyway, maybe you just do it on Sundays. But it can hurt you way more than it can help you, in my opinion. If you're not able to actively manage it, because that whatever game you stole by setting it up will be more than undone by the balance of that month if you're unable to go and undo those settings with all the games you're going to lose because your bullpen's going to be completely taxed. And then there's going to be one game where you give up 30 runs because your position players had to go in for your bullpen guys, or you're going to get a 17-inning game, which is going to completely fry your pen. And if you're not able to actively pull in relievers from your reserve roster, it's just going to be untenable. Yeah, I think that the question here is, should OOTP patch pseudoing for next year's cycle? I think that the spirit of the stuff boost makes sense. When starters go to the pen, they throw harder, they strike out more batters, they go more high effort. They probably focus on their 2 best pitches and just sequence those. So it makes sense in that when you take a starter and put him in the pen, they do effectively have higher stuff. They strike out more guys. However, when they're used in the way that we're using them, or we're talking about them now, and they're basically still starting, but just doing it from the 4th batter on, the spirit of that is gone. Because if it were in real baseball, that pitcher would still be using their entire arsenal. That pitcher would not be going full effort, full energy through that. They would be treating it like they would any other start. So I do think that that's probably an inappropriate application of the stuff boost. But when looking at how you code the game so that they don't get that, that's less of a clear answer to me. And I'm sure there's a way to do it. Maybe if you have the long relief designation, they don't get the stuff boost. But then people would just use different game mechanics like force bench and stuff like that to achieve the same outcome. So, as players, we are very good at figuring out where the cracks are and how to exploit them. So this is one that I don't have a great answer to, but I understand the criticism of the stuff boost existing for a follower. Yeah, T-Chuck suggesting that they make AI more willing to pinch hit, especially with a guy for his platoon mate. That makes sense. I would agree with that. I think that there are definitely AI enhancements to the strategy that can be done. I know Quanta Condor was in the Discord recommending that there be more optionality there, just so that owners like you and I could have more diverse and more nuanced ability to create strategies, create counters to those strategies, and then create counters to the counters. So, and that would really come from a more nuanced set of AI management. And I completely agree with that. So Vic is asking how many RP, how many relief pitchers you'd need if you wanted to pseudo every other game. I don't know that it would necessarily be a quantity of relief pitchers you need in your bullpen versus how many pitchers you would cycle through on your reserves, because your platoon lineup is tuned in a certain way and needs to have enough cards where you can't just load up your pen with 10 guys. You can't have 15 pitchers on your team and expect to be able to compete. So it would just be a very active management of as you're taxing your pen to be opening frequently, that you're throwing in your Jose Fernandez and your Pete Alexander and your Randy Johnson and your Guidry and really cycling through all those pen arms. Roscoe suggesting that they don't need to patch anything about the pseudo strategy we've been talking about, but they should split the difference to less drastic, so it's not OP. Like, honestly, to me, the stuff boost is not what I do any of this stuff for. The handedness bump is what I do pseudoing for when I do it. So the stuff boost is nice, but it's not a huge game changer. Like, the reason that all these guys get better stats in the pen, I think, has more to do with the fact that they're getting a higher favorable percentage than it does with them getting 10 to 15 more stuff. API, I'd be pretty bummed if they took out the stuff boost. Oh, Tucker's got an interesting idea. Code it so that when the stuff boost is active, you eat through your stamina faster. API saying that that's how it is now. You do see with most long relief appearances after you have a opener or a pseudo starter, you do see them limited to normally like 4 to 5 to 6 innings most times. One and only Pidge checking in. What's going on, Pidge? Good to see you. So Jay Mallett used 41 unique pitchers a season ago. This season used 41, or 40 last year, 41 this year. Yeah. I see where you're going, Tucker. Starter with a stuff boost, active, should only be able to throw 2 to 3 innings. I can see that argument. Makes sense to me. It would just come down to how you allow a manager to activate or deactivate that stuff boost. Currently, the moment you move someone from the rotation to the pen, and it's not even then, really. It's in the game mechanics. Like, when deployed as reliever, your stuff is this. When deployed as starter, your stuff is that. So there would need to be a new coded step as like a binary. Is the owner configuring the stuff boost yes, or is the owner configuring it no? And that would need to take place in the code whenever a pitcher came into relief. But it's not the worst idea I've ever heard. Yeah, so Condor saying that, just allow the user to turn the stuff boost on and off regardless of usage. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So you go into the game strategy for a player, and imagine if there was just a tick box right here that says stuff boost on or off. And when you have it on, the player's going to eat through their stamina extremely fast. I'm thinking like 2 innings tops, maybe 3. And then when you have it off, it'll eat through stamina like it would natively within the game engine. That's not a bad idea. I kind of like that, actually. And then the game isn't having to run that check of, is this a relief appearance or a start appearance, and then make the decision then. It's purely pulling it off of a manager chosen option. I don't think that change would make the Fopener or pseudo starter strategy go away at all. Again, it is my personal opinion that the reason that it exists, the reason that that's successful, has way more to do with getting your pitcher in more favorable matchups than it does with that stuff boost at all. Yeah, I mean, more sliders and more choice, creates a more nuanced opportunity for us to have impact as manager. I think what we have now is good. There's a lot of choices here. You get to set your hook settings. You get to play with this. What we have is good, but it can always be better. And the more nuanced a choice you give to owners, the more impact that they're really having on the game, and not just rolling out their starters and just praying for the best. We should be getting a sim pretty soon here. I believe we're at that 15-minute mark right now. Boy, I could use some more icons up here on the top left of my screen. Could use some more titles. I'd love to see a Perfect League icon show up there one day. If you're just joining, we're waiting on the final sim here. Game 7. Colonels versus the Time Lords. Whoever wins this game is going to take it all. No spoilers in the chat, please. For once the sim does come in, we definitely want to live and die with that highlight reel. Man, can you imagine the Colonels trying to protect another late lead in this one? As I mentioned at the end of Game 6, the Colonels have led late in all 6 games, but have only been able to polish off 3 of them due to some bullpen malfunction. We had Bob Feller, I think it was Feller, walk Pop Lloyd late in Game 1 to tie the game, and then the very next batter, Tony Gwynn, hits a grand slam to bust it wide open. We had Joe Mauer hitting a bases-loaded single off of Trevor Hoffman in Game 3. I want to say that was the 8th. No, that was the 9th inning. That was the 9th inning with 2 outs. If Mauer gets out there, the Colonels bank that game. But alas, it was not to be. Mauer wins it. And then Game 4, similar story. Bullpen blowing it late. So we will see if that comes into play. As we already looked at a couple moments ago, Trevor Hoffman debatably available for the Colonels. So if they are protecting a late lead, it'll be interesting to see if the AI goes with tired closer or rested non-closer. But this is for all the marbles. Will BFF alum take home their 3rd Perfect League title in the last 6 or 7 weeks? Or will the Colonels take it? Michael Vick asking what the common ballpark strategies are in Perfect League. MacJack's actually took a look at this a couple weeks back and actually plotted all 40 parks. And you do see a lot of everything. You see parks tailored to handedness. You see parks fully nerfed, taking all the slider settings down to the minimum. You see a lot of neutral or near neutral parks. I'll say the one thing that I have not seen much of is max offense parks. I saw much more of that at Diamond than I ever have in Perfect League. So I wouldn't say there's one dominant ballpark configuration. And if you look at all the given teams you play in a given day, you'll probably see a scattering of a neutral park, a righty cheese park, a lefty cheese park, a neutral park with homers nerfed down, a neutral park with extra base hits jacked up. Like, you'll see some nuance here and there. There's not one thing that stands out as like the Perfect League play. Like, if you want to win in Perfect League, you have to have your park like this or like that. That doesn't exist. Mac Jack's won 3 titles with a neutral park. The Time Lords are trying to win one here with the righty park. The Colonels are neutral. Yeah, and Jay Mallett's saying that max offense kills your pitchers, and it does. You know, making sure that your bullpen isn't overtaxed and you have rested pitchers to go in every given situation is very important in this game. And if you're running max offense, then you're just going to have a ton of runs scored in your park for you and a ton of runs scored against you. And you're going to have to be more active in making sure that when your pen is taxed, that you swap in some arms. T-Chuck 4 thinking about running max con, max bombs, minimum gap. So that's interesting. I don't think that I've seen that. I'm trying to think of the player archetype that you would be doing that to aid most. You know, maybe an Ernie Banks type. You know, someone with a very high contact rating, very high power rating, but not huge gap power. You know, maybe that's a park tailored for him as we look at the Banks ratings. But that is interesting, Chuck. I don't think I've seen that particular config before. Normally, I see the average correlating closely to the extra base hits, doubles and triples, and not necessarily having it go both ways. Yeah, I've been running the same park now for, I want to say, 6 weeks or so. And it's your classic lefty cheese park with your extra base hits minned out. It's worked pretty well for me. Ever since I got into Perfect League, I've been running it every week. This week was my most trying week. Scored a lot more runs this week, but gave up a ton more. Just couldn't pitch. Jay Mallett asking if this is the longest Game 7 sim ever. And as someone in the sim, I can imagine you feel that way. Yeah, Michael Vick asking if I cycle my pitchers. I absolutely do. I probably did a little bit less this year than I normally do. But if I look at my reserve roster here, you know, I've got Randy, who's got 17 innings. Pete Alexander with 7. Jose Fernandez with a bad 7. Bob Gibson, did he get in this year? Looks like he got in for 2 innings. Guidry for 29. So I'm absolutely cycling. Everyone that's on my reserve roster here is someone that I would consider bringing in. So like, this is what I consider my pool of available players. And so you can see the top 9 guys here are my pitchers. I didn't get around to Whitney this year. Dazzy was terrible for me for 10 innings. And Lee Smith, actually didn't get around to him either. So I probably did less cycling than I normally do. But these are the guys that I do cycle in, so that's an additional 9 arms. Yeah, Vic asking if it's possible to do this if you have a job where you can't monitor. Absolutely. Like, if I had to guess, I would say that maybe around half of the teams in the playoffs are teams that don't do a ton of active management. like there's different schools of thought on how this works, but like some weeks it just feels like it's your week and you're just going to win a lot of games. And whether that's the concept of player roles, whether that's the concept of you having a roster configuration that's well suited for the balance of players and stadiums that are in play, for whatever reason, you just have an easier week than any other week. And when that happens, you can absolutely be away from your keyboard for the majority of your sims and be no worse for the wear. But active management, in my opinion, does help you win more games. And, I mean, if you look at the Time Lords, I mean, look at this. 103 wins in Perfect League last week, 98 wins this week. So something's clearly working here. I will say that I just did a trip with my family this weekend. And so I was extremely active management for March, April, May, June, July. And then nearly 100% away from keyboard August, September. And the results are basically the same. It didn't matter. Sim is in. We are going to Game 7. I am really excited to see who wins this one. The longest game sim ever. The longest Game 7 sim ever is in. Let's find out what happened. Here we go. Good luck, gentlemen. Good luck, gentlemen. Let's have a clean one here. All right, we got Spawn. The Time Lords are throwing out Spawn. That's the starter for the day. And Spawn will face a lineup with 3 left-handed batters, Gwyn, Cobb, and Brett. Let's go. We'll start the game off against Tony Gwyn. Game 7 of the 2049 Perfect League World Series. Wind is blowing out 15 miles per hour. We'll see if that factors in. Gwyn's going to start the game with a liner to center, and that's a base hit. That is a base hit. Jackie comes up next. Full count on him. The pitch. Grounder to second. Fields it. To second one. Across for a double play. Twin killing here in the first inning. Fast forward. Bottom 2. We have our first Greenwich Time Lord highlight. And here's where we learn that the Louisville Colonels started David Price. And we've got Tony Gwyn at the plate with nobody out and Willie Mays on first. Price pitches. Fly ball, deep left center, way back. That's gone. Game 7 home run from Tony Gwyn. 422 happy feet for the Greenwich Time Lords. And they now lead 2-0 in Game 7. We're going to stick in the second inning here. And we've now put Tris Speaker on base and have Ivan Rodriguez at the plate. 2-1 count. This ball is crushed. Deep left field. Ivan Rodriguez plays long ball. Make it 4-0 Time Lords. And the home crowd is into this one from the get-go. 4-0. We're bottom 3, and the Time Lords are looking to add. Tony Gwyn up to the plate. He played long ball in his first at-bat. What does he have in store for us here? Fly ball deep right center. Did he do it again? He did! Tony G! 2-time and Tony. That's his second homer of the game. Someone's trying to get in that MVP voting, and a 2-home run Game 7 is going to get you compared to Reggie Jackson and give you a great chance for that MVP award. Oh, a moment of silence for the Louisville Colonels here as we've jumped to the 5th inning and our scoreboard has jumped with us. It is now 9-0, and the Colonels are in miracle-needing territory. Randy Johnson on the hill for the Time Lords. We know they started Spawn, so we're into the bullpen here in the 5th. K-line at the plate, and Louisville just needing a crack of daylight here. 1-0 count to K-line. Fly ball deep center. This could just be that crack, and it's gone. Solo shot for Al K-line. 452 feet. And they're on the board. Make it 9-1. Here in top 6, looking to continue to close that delta. They've got Willie Mays at the plate. The pitch. Up the middle. Diving play by the shortstop across. Not in time. That's an infield hit. And they're loaded. The Colonels trying to grind their way back in. Hornsby up. And I might just go as far as to say that the game is on the line right here. They're down 8. They've got them loaded. They cannot afford to leave this at bat and leave this inning without more damage. So let's go ahead and take a look at our matchup analyzer. Let's see what Randy Johnson, let's see what he does against left-handed batters or right-handed batters. It's not pretty. It's a near 5 FIP. The home runs are above league average. The walks are well above league average. The whip not great. And we know that Hornsby crushes lefties. So let's see what happens here. 3-1 count on Hornsby. 1 away. The pitch. Walked him. Walks in a run. Make it 9-2. When you're nursing an 8-run lead, the last thing you want to be doing is giving away free passes. But it does bring up George Brett. And while we're on the matchup analyzer, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at how well he does versus lefty. Spoiler alert, it's not very good. You see the OPS under 7. But it's game 7 here. Anything can happen. 3-1 count on Brett. The wind and the pitch. He walks him. Another run walked in. Another run walked in. Make it 9-3 and bring up K-Line. K-Line's already gone yard tonight. K-Line versus left. That's his strong side. Positive bat value nearing 800 OPS. Strong slug. Here's the pitch. Grounder to third, and it gets by. That's going to score 2. It's going all the way to the wall. K-Line to second. Runner around third. That's a bases clearing double. Randy Johnson has made this a game. It's 9-6. We're still in the bottom of the 6th. It's Ivan Rodriguez. Not the guy that you'd want at the plate in this moment. This is not who you'd call for if you could choose. But it's game 7. And you just have to hope. I mean, they've already succeeded in making this a game again. This 9-1 lead, now 9-6. Let's go ahead and get Eddie Plank up here so we can check this matchup. Eddie Plank versus right-handers. Eddie Plank is terrible versus right-hand hitters. But Ivan Rodriguez also terrible with a sub 700 OPS. Full count now. Runnels will be in motion on the play. Plank deals. That ball driven deep right center. No way! That's an Oppo Taco for Ivan Rodriguez. And we're all tied at 9. Unbelievable. What a 6th inning. And we have a brand new ball game in game 7 of the 2049 Perfect League World Series. Unbelievable. The highlights can't even keep up with us. We've jumped an inning, and we've added 7 runs to the scoreboard. So the Time Lords are up again. They're up 5 now, and Louisville has 7 runs, and they're now facing a Trevor Hoffman here in the top of the 7th. Oh, I totally blew that call. That was Ivan Rodriguez hitting for the Time Lords. But here's a Oppo Taco chance again. And that ball's gone. 2-run dinger for Hornsby, bringing this game back within 3. Time Lords on the mound. We've got Louisville at the plate. Ivan Rodriguez, an icy cold Ivan. And he crushes it deep left field. Forget about it. This game 7's all about Ivan Rodriguez. Another bomb. Time Lords lead, cut to 2. Pedro on now for the Time Lords, trying to close this one out. Jackie at the plate, 1 away. There's the pitch. Strike 3 called. Big strikeout for Pedro. We go top 9. Time Lords trying to nail it down. They've got 2 away. They're one strike away from the 8-inch trophy. And George Brett's who they got to get through. Pedro. He winds. He delivers. Grounder to first. Fielded. Takes it to the bag himself. And the Time Lords are your 2049 Perfect League World Series champions. Congratulations to Jay Mallett. Congratulations to both competitors on an incredible World Series. Wow. What a world. Pudge Rodriguez hitting 3 dingers in Game 7 of the World Series. Never thought I'd see it. What a game. What a World Series. Wow, 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 wow. So what'd you guys think? What a World Series. We'll go ahead and put up the Greenwich Time Lord logo for Game 7. And he is our champion. And he'll have a chance to come back next week and defend it. What a game. Yep, T-Chuck, you're on it. 7 games last week, too. Week before, I think, was 5. That was Mac Jackson Fair Play, and I think they were done in 5. Yeah, thanks so much, Orson, for the feedback. If this was your first time watching, make sure you hit that follow button, hit the notification. Would love to have you back for future ones. But a big thank you to everyone that joined tonight. It was a lot of fun going through that one. That was one of the more fun World Series we've seen. I love games that end with big-time leverage moments. You see huge matchups. See who comes through. That's awesome. Well, make sure you guys join me on Tuesday of next week for our episode of Reading Between the Lineups. I'm going to have Mac Jacks on, and he's going to give us all his secrets on how he wins a title every other week. So make sure you don't miss that. And then next Thursday, as always, we'll have our This Week in Perfect team, where we break down the week 2 of the playoff content set that Chris is releasing. So you don't want to miss that as well. We've changed the format slightly to jazz it up. Hopefully you guys like that. But I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here. Again, thanks to everyone for joining. Follow. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe if you're enjoying it. And we'll see you guys on the next stream. Take care, everyone.